In 1977, two very strange sounds were recorded inside the sea. Their frequency was very low, while the amplitude was very large. They were recorded by the radar of the Atmospheric Administration of America. But the surprising thing is that the same sounds were also recorded by other radars 5,000 kilometers away. After calculations, the location of these sounds was estimated, and it was found that it was in a part of the South Pacific Ocean. These sounds were generated under the sea in a remote area. At that time, these sounds were named bloop, and research was started on them to find out what these scary sounds were of. Apparently, these sounds should have been of something very big, but nothing like this was found in this part of the sea. For many years, it was believed that a huge divine creature lives under this part of the sea. But after 2012, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric, the administration changed its stamp and said that the sounds recorded in 1977 were generated due to glacial movement, but no one has been able to know the truth about it yet. But today, there is a statue at the point where this sound was recorded. A very unique work has been done. At this very point in the South Pacific Ocean, there exists a part of the ocean which has no land for thousands of miles on all four sides. Along with the oceanic pole, it is also called Point Nemo. The nearest piece of land from here is about 2,688 kilometers away, and this nearest piece is also of no use because it is the South Pole, Antarctica. The nearest populated landmass to Point Nemo is the southern part of Chile, which is 3,334 kilometers, while on the other side is New Zealand, which is 4,700 kilometers away. That is why Point Nemo is called the most deserted and uninhabited part of the world. It is imagined to be so desolate that the nearest humans here are not on the ground, but surprisingly are the astronauts sitting in the International Space Station, which passes 400 kilometers above Point Nemo once or twice a day, despite being cut off from the world. There is no purpose behind Point Nemo. Beneath this part of the ocean, there are those human inventions for which money was once spent like a river. Yes, Point Nemo is a graveyard of broken satellites, spacecrafts, and rockets. But the question arises that where were the satellites dropped before Point Nemo was discovered? Why was there a need to drop them? And above all, how were the satellites brought exactly to Point Nemo? Once again, welcome in Wow Mystery Video. Point Nemo is spread over an area of 22 million kilometers in the South Pacific Ocean. This is such a big area that even Russia, the world's largest country, can fit in it, and yet there will be enough space left to fit 5 countries like Egypt. But there is no human population living in these 22 million square kilometers. Many sea creatures cannot survive here even underwater. Researchers believe that the conditions here are very challenging, in which it can be difficult for sea life to survive. Point Nemo in the South Pacific Ocean, located in a very remote and deep area where the water temperature is cold and nutrients are scarce, Point Nemo is in a place where there is a lack of nutrients due to the oceanic currents, i.e., due to the fast flow of water. Water keeps moving round and round in this part of the ocean. That is, water from other parts of the Pacific Ocean does not flow here properly, due to which there is a deficiency of nutrients here, and wherever nutrients are less there, plankton and other microscopic organisms are also less, which become the bias of the food chain. The depth of the ocean in this area is about 3,700 meters or 12,100 feet. It is impossible for sunlight to reach this depth, hence there is no photosynthesis here. It is possible that if there is any sea life, then it would be deep-sea organisms like squids, bioluminescent fish, and other deep-sea creatures. There may be those who can survive in extreme conditions. For the first time in 1992, a Canadian engineer discovered Point Nemo by doing various mathematical calculations. This place is so remote that the person who discovered this point has not even gone here for 9 years. Later, in 2001, it was used for the first time by the Russian Space Agency because Point Nemo is that part of the ocean which falls in international waters. No country owns it. That is why various space agencies of the world do not have to take permission from anyone to drop their space objects here. 23rd March 2001. 15 years had passed since the launch of Russian space station Mir, and now it is not capable of. It was that it remained on the mission for a long time. Then the Russian space age deorbited it, took it out of Earth's orbit and dropped it at Point Nemo. After Mir, other space agencies also. This place seemed quite suitable, and now they also use it for spacecraft dumping. Over the last 23 years, this cemetery has grown, and today the debris of more than 260 spacecraft is present under Point Nemo, and the International Space Station is also located nearby at the same Point Nemo. But it is going to be buried because, according to NASA, the life of IS is till 2030. Before that, it will be decommissioned. Satellites or spacecrafts will be it is made meticulously in press style, even after spending crores of dollars. It is not made to last forever, just like the expiry date of various products is written while making. Similarly, the objects moving in space also have an expiry date, and after that expiry date, it is very important to crash the wallet. If this is not done, then the spacecraft can go out of control and fall out of the orbit at any time and fall uncontrolled on the ground. In 1978, there was an issue with Cosmos 954, a Soviet satellite, and it lost contact with the base station. Now that satellite remained uncontrollable and remained in its orbit for some time, but finally, after several months, it left the orbit and started moving towards the ground. There was a fear that the same thing happened. It made an uncontrolled entry into the Earth. But the biggest danger was not that it was out of control, but it was the nuclear reactor present in it, due to which this satellite got power. The satellite burnt to ashes in the sky itself, but the radioactive material spread all over northern Canada. After that, an operation was started whose sole purpose was to find and clean this radioactive material. This was the biggest operation of its kind. It was named Operation Morning Light. Luckily, no one was harmed, but after this accident, the world got a glimpse of the disadvantages of running satellites through nuclear. In 1997, Lottie Williams, who hails from Oklahoma, was walking in the park when suddenly something fell on her shoulder. She realized that it was a piece of the Delta II rocket which had disintegrated miles away while entering the atmosphere. There were no injuries in the accident, but this accident opened everyone's eyes that such a situation should not occur in the future. That is why space objects should be kept in the desolate parts of the ocean. Until Point Nemo was discovered, this work was done in the Pacific Ocean or in remote areas of the land. Whenever a satellite or spacecraft had to crash, it was first taken out of orbit with the help of thrusters installed in it. Even after being removed from orbit, it continues to revolve around the Earth for the next several months. But gradually it gets closer to the ground. Thrusters. When, where, at what time, and in what position. Engineers calculate this task very minutely. Before entering the Earth's atmosphere, thrusters are activated again, so that its direction point is made towards Nemo. Remember that because there is no air in space, there is no pressure. Because of this, there is no friction of any kind. The satellites which are in their orbit do not leave their orbit without power for the next several months. Their speed is very fast, normally, at 15,000 kilometers, and when it enters the atmosphere at this speed, due to friction, its temperature increases up to 3,000 degrees Celsius, and it takes the shape of a fireball. This temperature melts the metal in it to ashes, and in most of the cases, the debris evaporates before falling. But sometimes some debris also falls on the ground, which if falls on the population, if it falls, it can also cause huge damage, which is why humans are kept safe from its harm by targeting it on an area of 220 million square kilometers of Point Nemo. Talking about the name, Nemo is a Latin word which means no forest because neither humans nor sea creatures live here, and this location is also such that even ships do not pass through here. Vessels avoid such locations, where in case of problem, help may be difficult to come. If you ever get stuck in point rules, it will take 2 weeks for help to come via ship, and there are only a few helicopters in the world that travel up to 3,000 kilometers, which include Ski S-92, Westland AW-101, and Lockheed. Martin V-71 is included, and there is no guarantee that it can cover the distance of 3,000 kilometers without refueling, and even if it does, there will be no fuel left for the return point. It is a dream of the scientific community to reach the sea and do underwater research there. It is possible that research can be done here in the future, and the secret of the voices heard in 1977 can be exposed. Hopefully, you all like and share this video of Wow Mystery. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next great video.